So, okay. Today is the vlog for March 29th. And I think I did my vlog after the stream last night. So in case I didn't, I streamed last night and it was, yeah, I do remember because I was frazzled. I had been trying to keep track of so much things. I was trying to talk and I was trying to play the game and I was trying to respond to people who were talking to me and talking to each other, and I was just... So that was stressful last night, but today I'm going to talk about a different kind of stress. This one is very unlike the other one. I'm going to talk about the stress of keeping secrets, without actually telling you any of the secrets, because that would defeat the purpose. But for those of you who... For the zero of you who actually watch this regularly, but those of you who might come in later and find this video, someone that works in an industry with a lot of non-disclosure agreements who is expected to simply not talk about the sorts of things they work on, that develops a certain kind of personality where two things have happened, at least with me, that I've noticed over the years, because I have been doing this for quite some time. First, sort of reservation in speaking in general. People might just come up to you and start talking. Hey, did this thing? Did you see that? This, the other thing? And a lot of times my first response is just, okay, cool. And just try to say as little as possible. And sometimes these people go, oh, wait, you're talking, and I just go, I don't have anything to say. Sorry. And usually that's enough. I mean, I'm putting on a bit of an act just to be more humorous on camera. But I have had to give people the deer in the headlights look a couple of times when they ask what seem to be innocuous questions, but I just am going to be in a situation where I'm unable to answer for any reason. But the other thing that I know that I do is I just sort of brush it aside and change the subject, which is something that you see politicians do all the time when they get asked a question that they don't want to answer. And they'll be like, hey, so what do you think of this new thing that you saw on the thing? And da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'll go, man, I don't know. It's going to be cool later, maybe. I haven't had a chance to work with it. You see that new movie that's coming out this weekend? That looks like it's going to be pretty cool. And if it's a conversation about, hey, that thing that's cool, it's usually pretty easy to just switch the subject to something else that's sort of popular culture or news related or just anything that people are talking about in general. If you can figure out something that someone else is going to be excited about, especially if they're not very excited about the thing that you have to keep secret, that is, if you can get them to focus on the thing that they do care about, that is a wonderful little distraction to take the pressure off. But a lot of times you just end up having to say, hey, I can't say anything. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And very rarely do I have someone say like, oh, come on, you can actually tell me. Most people are pretty reasonable. They go, oh, you can't? Well, okay, whatever. Most people, if you give them a chance to be reasonable, will be reasonable. Only some people get unreasonable, get offended over things where they've just basically decided to be offended, but then they say that they're offended as if that is a ironclad defense. I say, well, I don't feel that this way about something political. And, it's not just enough that I disagree with their point, but they go, oh, how could you say something like that? How are you able to live with yourself feeling the way you do about that particular thing? And again, I just do this. Just do. Sorry? And that's, what else can you do? But there is something that builds up over time. And it builds up and it sort of goes away. But it's the stress of keeping secrets and of... there's like a helicopter flying by, so that's what I keep looking at outside. The stress of keeping secrets and the fear of the secret getting out and you being responsible for it. it's the fear that people who decide they will deliberately reveal a secret to somebody do not have this fear. People who decide, I am going to go tell a Russian spy about a government secret or something ridiculous like that. They have a fear of being discovered, but it's a different kind of fear. It's a kind of fear that is very rational, and they probably have plans to deal with it if they're operating at that level. And it's just, but it's like they get to be professional about it. They get to be professional about the way that they break trust and reveal secrets. The other thing, the other version of that is accidentally revealing something that you're not supposed to because you're not thinking about it. You're not doing all the conscious things that I said at the start of the video. And it just sort of slips out somehow, and you just freeze, and you try and maybe gloss over it. You try and maybe move past it before anyone realizes you made the mistake. But it stresses you out, especially in an industry where you can lose your job for doing something like that. You just learn to live with that, and that is a stress that I don't wish upon anyone. It's very difficult. And if anyone out there who watches this has ever had to deal with a situation like that, where maybe they made an accident and it has caused all kinds of trouble, my heart goes out to you. It is nothing that I would want anyone to experience, not even my worst enemy. Not that I have enemies, but it's just a phrase. But the funny thing about talking about something like this and talking about a thing that I can't actually talk about, the act of talking about keeping secrets actually relieves me. I've actually felt a little stressed out all day. I've felt stressed out. Well, my sister coming to town always stresses me out. Having a guest in general stresses me out a little bit. You have to do a little bit more while they're in town, and it's just one more thing. It's not like I don't like my sister. I love my sister. I love my sister. But when she visits, everything I take for granted suddenly becomes, painstakingly clear. And when I realize that I can't tell her certain things, even though I'm excited about them, perhaps, or she asks me questions about things that I'm deathly afraid of talking about, it's no fun at all. Anyway, it was a little bit more real than me talking about giant robots and dinosaurs and whatever. I guess I haven't talked about dinosaurs too much. Maybe I'll do that sometime. But today it's just secrets and stress. So I've been Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.